Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Troman, do we have any public comment?
Morning, Commissioners. Les Troman, General Counsel. We do have one commenter this morning, Robin Harrison. Ms. Harrison, if you want to unmute yourself, introduce yourself for the record and begin. Ms. Harrison? Her phone number is not listed. Okay. All right, I think she was here earlier, but she may have dropped off, so we'll monitor and get back with y'all.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Mr. Troman. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning, sir.
All right, on agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider.
Correct, no cases.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing? Let's turn to agenda item 4. I think we have 2 tax cases on docket 17.
Yes, sir. You do have 2 tax cases on docket 17. The first case is TD 22042122. Commissioner Demerson.
I agree with staff recommendation that the roofers are not in employment. In addition, we should send a memo to tax regarding the status of the roofers' workers.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
The next case is TD 2300402223. Commissioner Demerson,
I agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. No fair housing cases on agenda item 5.
No fair housing cases.
All right, under agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases on docket 17. Hold for additional discussion.
Correct, none pulled, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 17.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 17.
And I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting, is reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 17.
I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 17.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 7, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 17. Please proceed when you are ready.
Case number 2866994, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The claimant was partially unemployed and receiving benefits at the time she worked for this employer. She quit her position to accept work she reasonably believed would increase her weekly wages. Her current job paid $13 an hour, and the new position would pay $18 per hour. The claimant was attempting to get off unemployment completely. The claimant is eligible for benefits under 207.045G. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
But the appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. The weight of the credible evidence indicates that the claimant resigned to pursue another job opportunity. The claimant did not establish that the working conditions with the named employer were intolerable. As such, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Affirm the AT, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3349746, Commissioner Demerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. The appeal tribunal was in the best position to gauge the credibility of the parties and ruled that the claimant was discharged for work-connected misconduct when she threatened her coworkers with a gun. Indeed, the employer witness stated that the associates had told him and management that the claimant said she had a gun and she was going to do certain things to certain people. The witness further stated that a guard was hired for the next 2 to 3 days. The claimant's actions gave the employer the reasonable impression that she would engage in behavior that would jeopardize the safety of employees at the workplace. And as such, misconduct connected with the work was established. We should therefore modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate response issue. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree that the work-connected misconduct was established, the employer should not be penalized with a chargeback for taking action that is reasonably believed was in the best interest of protecting the safety of its employees. As such, if the claimant is not disqualified from benefits, the employer should not be charged since its separation from the claimant was urgent, compelling, and necessary. Accordingly, I could agree to a vote of modifying the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback. The job separation was urgent, compelling, and necessary. Void the adequate response issue.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant testified under oath that she did not make threatening statements. The employer's secondhand hearsay statements are insufficient to prove misconduct. The claimant had to leave work early because of health concerns, which is not misconduct. Modify the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Reverse the 18, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3371412, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The evidence establishes the claimant separated because of an injury. The claimant has provided medical documents, including an emergency room visit from the day of the injury. The claimant's documents show that the time of the injury was restricted in how much he could lift and that the pain was ongoing. Since the claimant's separation was due to a medically verified injury, the claimant is eligible for benefits and the employer's account should be protected from charge. Modify the AT, no voluntary leaving, no chargeback, MVI.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. The claimant provided a fact-finding statement stating that a doctor had excused him from work, but had not advised the claimant to quit. As such, the claimant quit his job due to personal reasons. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Affirm the AT, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Short form does not.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3380324, Commissioner Trevino.
I do not contest that the claimant had good cause for missing the first appeal tribunal hearing. Regarding the underlying merits, the employer had a vaccine mandate and did not allow for the exemptions due to personal conscience. The claimant had worked for the employer without a vaccine for several months due to a medical exemption related to her pregnancy. When that exemption ended, the claimant sought to extend it, but was denied. The employer's mandate was not in compliance with the governor's order related to the vaccine mandates. As such, the claimant's quit was for good cause connected with the work. Modify the AT, good cause, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer.
We should grant a rehearing in this case. The governor's executive order states that no entity can compel receipt of a COVID-19 vaccine if a person objects for any reason of personal conscience, because of a religious belief or for medical reasons. The record has not been adequately developed regarding the party's compliance with the executive order. It is unclear whether the claimant ever submitted an exemption request to the employer, noting her objection to the vaccine prior to quitting without notice. It appears that she simply failed to return to work. The employer cannot consider a request that has not been presented. In cases where a claimant voluntarily left her last work due to dissatisfaction with the working conditions, she will be qualified for the receipt of benefits if she provided the employer the opportunity to remedy her concerns. Here, we do not know if the claimant informed the employer of her concerns with the vaccine requirement prior to quitting. Accordingly, we should rehear this case.
Modify the AT, claim established good cause for AT1, rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3382168, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant was discharged for violation of the employer's smoking policy, which prohibited smoking on the company premises unless employees were in their personal vehicles. The claimant had received a final warning less than a week prior for the same behavior. Because the claimant was smoking on the employer's premises in violation of the employer's policy after final warning, the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision, misconduct.
The decision is supportable. Although the employer claimed they discharged the claimant after she was seen smoking on the employer's premises, the employer did not provide any firsthand testimony of the incident. The claimant testified that she left the employer's premises to take a smoke break, as she had gone to an area by a retaining wall near another store. The claimant had no reason to believe that this area was part of the employer's premises, and the employer offered no evidence to show that where the claimant took her smoke break constituted the employer's premises. Therefore, the employer did not establish that the claimant violated policy by smoking on the employer's premises. Affirm the AT, no misconduct.
Affirm the 18, no misconduct.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now, the employer was designated as a party of interest by the AT. In order to affirm the AT in full, we need a ruling on that. Commissioner Demerson? The appeal tribunal ruled that the employer was a party of interest. So I need to know the vote on whether the employer is a party of interest or not.
Let me consult real quick.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Miller.
Yes, sir.
What was Commission Appeals' recommendation on that?
What did the recommendations say?
Thank you.
In a procedural note, the attorney noted that the employer was made a party of interest by the AT. It was not mentioned specifically in the recommendation. However, it was a ruling. This case couldn't be before the commission right now unless the employer is a party of interest, because this is an employer appeal.
So Chair, we do agree that the employer is a party of interest, so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is it a party of interest?
Yes, ma'am, it'll be a party of interest.
Thank you
Agree-
very much.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. So the vote is affirm, no misconduct, employer is a party of interest,
Short. form dissent.
short form dissent for Commissioner Demerson.
Thank you.
Case number 3395772, Commissioner Dimerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be reversed. The employer testified that it has a policy to consider an employee to have abandoned their job after 2 hours of an unexcused absence. The employer has been consistent in stating that the claimant logged off for lunch and did not return. The claimant provided a fact-finding statement that he clocked out early for lunch due to a family emergency and did not tell anyone the reason, because it was during lunch hours, and that he had returned 1 hour before it was time to clock out. It is not unreasonable to conclude that the claimant could have used the 1 hour to update the employer on why he had been away. However, the evidence in this case indicates that he did not attempt to do so until the following day. As such, the claimant mismanaged his position of employment, which amounted to work-connected misconduct. Should therefore reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant was at lunch when he was notified of a family emergency, which required his immediate attention. The claimant returned to report to the emergency as soon as he could, but he was informed of his discharge. The claimant's separation was urgent, compelling, and necessary. Modify the AT, no misconduct, no chargeback, urgent, compelling, and necessary.
Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We've not yet received a majority vote.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
Let me clarify that. I misspoke. No, that was right. We do not have a majority vote. Commissioner Demerson, you voted to disqualify. Commissioner Trevino, you voted to qualify but protect the employer. And then, Mr. Chairman, you voted to qualify and charge the employer. So we have a majority vote to qualify the claimant. What we don't have majority vote on is chargeback.
Right, so I'll agree with the chair, ma'am.
One moment, please. Commissioner Demerson, do you have any comments?
No, I'm gonna stay with, I'm gonna stay with misconduct, no chargeback.
Okay. The majority vote is the chairman's vote, which is affirm, no misconduct, chargeback.
I'm a short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And that was the last UI case pulled for additional discussion on docket 17. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 17.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 17.
And I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 17.
And I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 17.
That motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This brings us to the end. Agenda items 3 through 7. We'll take a short recess. All right, we're back in. Mr. Troutman, I understand our public commenter has signed on and is available for public comment.
Yes, sir. Ms. Harrison, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself and begin. Ms. Harrison?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my phone together here. It's not working right. Hold on one quick second. If y'all can hold on just 1 second.
All right.
As you can tell, we can hear her clearly.
We can hear you.
Oh, y'all can hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, excuse me. Okay. I am serving notice to the Civil Rights Division and General Counsel attorneys that know enough to clean up the mess they created at TWC. While you as commissioners may not be aware of the problematic issues of your agency's role in investigating my fair housing civil rights issues, those involved have attempted to put to bed those many things that they have done wrong. They are attorneys and they are required to be ethical. Your general counsel put his signature on a single document once that was used to non-sue my case by the Office of Attorney General. His signature is on 4 different documents and none of them have a date on it. Most importantly, he doesn't know when he signed the first and only time. Each document has a different title and attachment. He never sent me a copy that was, he even sent me a copy that was incomplete. Do you want to talk to me, hear me, and correct the issues, or should I let an outside force review what's going on? See how the attorneys are using their status to promote discrimination by discriminating themselves against me as a Black woman receiving housing assistance. HUD pays for these investigations and their abuse of these funds will be brought to light, as this is not slander when my proof can come from the source. And just this morning, I spoke with a supervisor dealing with a retaliation case that intake I had a call come in there. They said that they would send it back to HUD for them to investigate it, but it sat there on his desk for 2 weeks and nothing was done with it. Then all of a sudden they wanted to give me a 10-day period. And I spoke with this lady today, a supervisor, and she hung up in my face twice today, which there's never no excuse for that. And just because you don't like what I'm saying, just because I'm speaking doesn't mean that I'm being combative. Because there are too many, right now I'm in a threat of being homeless. I have continued to go through retaliation with the housing authority, and they're not an apartment complex. And if they keep trying to treat the housing authority as an apartment complex, they are not gonna hold them accountable. I am asking that somebody hears me, look at these documents, review the things that have happened, and clean it up, because it's going to affect me and many other clients like me if this continues. It's not right what's happening, and I have everything that I need to prove it. I'm not talking off the top of my head with a he say, she say thing. I have proof of everything that I am saying, and I need somebody to take this serious enough to look at it, because HUD and TWC cannot keep treating me like a tennis ball, bouncing me back and forth. Something needs to be done to correct this and do the right thing and hold the housing authority responsible and accountable. And anything that has been done that gave them an out to continue to do this to families needs to be corrected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is agenda item 8, report to the governor and legislative leadership offices concerning the estimated unemployment trust fund balance and the estimated employment and training investment holding fund balance.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. This morning, you have before you the unemployment insurance trust fund projection, and that's the projection for October 1st of 2023. And I'll walk through the 2023 column for your benefit. So we started on October 1st of 2022 with a $2.13 billion balance. At this time, we were projecting $2.063 billion in revenue this year. That is, again, slightly down from the 2022 revenue of $2.6 billion, largely based off our projections from the non-LAU COVID chargebacks that are going through review. As we collect the first quarter revenue here on May 1st, we'll have a much better projection of, what that revenue reduction will be, and we'll adjust from that point. But right now, we're projecting $2.063 billion in revenue. We're projecting to pay out $2.3 billion. And right now, so we are projecting to be at $1.9 billion balance on September 30th or October 1st. And that is above the floor of projected to be $1.3 billion. So we're above the floor, below the ceiling, which is right where we hopeful to be. Related to that, on section 3 is the ETIA account. So as you know, if we're above the floor, it's good. If we're below the floor, we have to transfer from the ETI account into the trust fund. If we're above the floor, the ETI account funds the skills appropriation for that year. So at this point, we're projecting a $220 million balance after doing a skills transfer of 19.9 million. I would like to note that the 19.9 is based off the current skills appropriation. Pending legislation, the General Appropriations Act, if the skills amount is updated, that amount could be increased based off the appropriations bill. So that's all I have at this point. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Good update, Chris.
No comments. Thank you.
I would also like to note that I have two high school students from the Harmony Science Academy that are job shadowing me today, Sandra Cardenas and Asiye Aiken. And they're here to follow me around, and hopefully I'll keep them on the business track by the end of the day. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I do have a number of questions about like what your day entails. So I'd like to talk to the young people at the end of the day to get a real sense for what does go on during the day.
They'll have a full report for you before they leave.
A foolish
Yes,
report.
foolish, yes, ish.
Any questions? No questions? Thanks, sir.
Okay. Let me mention this. I had an opportunity to address the Harmony School the other day at the Capitol. Were you guys at the Capitol? Good, good. Were you in my presentation? And she thinks I made quite an impression.
Right,
so.
right.
I think she was politely suggesting that she was not there for your presentation.
Either she was there and I was that, I was
was
that
some-
impressionable.
There's some serious manners going on there. Well, it's not familiar to me. No, I wasn't there.
But enjoyed the presentation. Welcome aboard. It may have been.
It's all coming back to her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is agenda item 9, reinstatement of childcare automated attendance training tracking. In conjunction with the implementation of the Texas Workforce Commission's new childcare case management system.
Okay. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend. For the record, Allison Wilson with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. On March 9th, 2021, you approved a discussion paper which directed staff to issue special guidance on attendance requirements during the procurement and implementation of a new system to track attendance. Implementation of the new system is scheduled to begin in mid-May with phase 1, which includes automated attendance tracking. Phase 2, which will include full functionality for childcare case management, will be implemented in October of this year. Over the summer, childcare programs and parents will be onboarded and trained in the new system. Staff recommends rescinding the March 9th, 2021 guidance with the rollout of phase 1 of the new system, beginning to collect child attendance data in mid-May in the new system, and reinstating all requirements and procedures for childcare attendance effective October 1st with the implementation of phase 2 and the full childcare case management system. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the implementation plan for child care case management automated attendance as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded and motion carries. Agenda item 10, revisions to the Texas Rising Star Guidelines to align with previously approved amendments to the Texas Administrative Code.
Again, for the record, Allison Wilson with Child Care and Early Learning. The commission establishes rules to administer the Texas Rising Star program, including guidelines for rating childcare programs for star level certification and designation as entry level. Based on past legislation, program improvements, and prior changes you approved to TWC's childcare rules, revisions to the guidelines are needed. A full summary of the proposed revisions is provided in the discussion paper. Staff would like to highlight 2 of these revisions. First, voluntary participation in mentoring. With the passage of House Bill 2607 during the 87th Texas legislature, participation in the Texas Rising Star program is now mandatory for all child care services providers. Engaging with a Texas Rising Star mentor is a key component of the program, but not all programs want or need mentoring services. The proposed guideline revisions include new guidance for boards on entering into agreements with providers and allows providers to opt out of receiving mentoring services. And then the second thing to highlight is termination of a provider's agreement. With the implementation of House Bill 2607, as well as other rule amendments, staff identified the need to standardize processes for involuntary termination of a provider's childcare services agreement. The proposed guideline revisions include guidance for boards that will help ensure consistency across the state. Staff recommends approval of the proposed revisions to the Texas Rising Star Guidelines for publication and distribution. Staff also requests authority to make minor non-substantive edits as needed. And that concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the revisions to the Texas Rising Star Guidelines as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
This is agenda item 11, apprenticeship training program funding for fiscal year 2024.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Townsend. For the record, Carrie Ballas, Workforce Development Division. For your consideration today is the fiscal year 2024 planning estimates for apprenticeship training programs. Each year, the Texas Workforce Investment Council makes recommendations regarding the Chapter 133 apprenticeship training program. TWC recommendations for FY24 are a contact hour rate not to exceed $4.25 and a 5% reserve fund for new programs or established programs not currently receiving funds. Commission decision points for the FY24 funding are as follows. A planning estimate as detailed in your notebook materials for FY24 training funds, contingent upon adoption of our FY24 operating budget. A contact hour rate not to exceed $4.25 and a 5% reserve for new programs or established programs that are not currently receiving funds. As required by TAC Rule 83721, with the Commission's approval, we will provide public notice of the amount of funds available to support apprenticeship training programs for FY24. This concludes my remarks. I am happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the following apprenticeship training program parameters for fiscal year 2024 as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff. Number one, a planning estimate of $3,732,785 in general revenue, $1,650,000 in Workforce and Innovation and Opportunity Act statewide funds, and $150,000 in temporary assistance for needy families, non-custodial parent funds for fiscal year 2024 registered apprenticeship funds. Number two, a fiscal year 2024 contact hour rate not to exceed $4.25. And last, a 5% reserve of planning estimate funds for new or established registered apprenticeship training programs that did not receive Chapter 133 funds in fiscal year 2023.
I second the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
So agenda item 12, board nominations.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Townsend. For the record, Cherie Dudley with the Workforce Development. Today for your consideration, we have Workforce Board nominations for Lower Rio Grande Valley, Coastal Bend, South Plains, and Texoma. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominees, and I'm here to answer questions you may have.
Any questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the local Workforce Development Board member nominees presented today for the following: Workforce Solutions, Lower Rio Grande Valley, Coastal Bend, South Plains, and Texoma.
I second the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. An executive director's report.
Unless Mr. Cerna is back there standing up, there's no executive.
He
director's
hasn't
report.
moved.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think you're good then.
He was signaling to me like this, which means that you had a 10-minute report that he was expecting you to give.
That would be real exciting, I'm sure.
Maybe some insight on how the chief financial officer spends his day.
I'm carefully watching him.
You're carefully watching this. Is there any other order of business come for the commission?
Mr. Randy was the chief financial officer. on
He
the
has
board,
some
so-
insight into this matter.
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second the motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
All right.